Now, what we're doing today, right now, is taking you back more than a century to a time when everybody only had one source of entertainment in their house. It was a piano. Electricity wasn't even universal then. What happened then was that towns, in order to enhance their products and give entertainment and recreation to their citizens, would hold expositions and fairs. And John and Victor happened to go to two of these fairs at the same time. The first one was the Atlanta Cotton States International Exposition in 1895. That was aimed at improving the economic recovery of the South following the Civil War, and it showed technological advancements and cultural progress of the region. That featured the cotton industry, transportation and machinery, electricity. I did some research for the New Holland Band some years ago and went through their old newspapers, and in the late 1800s, in the 80s, they were trying to bring electricity from Lancaster out to New Holland, and the citizens were opposed to it because it was a new thing and it was not going to be worth anything. There was a replica of Cairo, Egypt. The Liberty Bell was imported from Philadelphia to the Cotton States Exhibition, and ready-to-eat foods and beverages were featured as well. Education reform, public health, and social services also were featured. Now, that's a view of that. In the years following the Civil War, the Atlanta hosted 3 centennial exhibitions, all of which were to help the city's recovery from an economic development after the Civil War. Here's a poster for the Cotton States Exposition. It shows Susan on the middle left, Victor Herbert on the lower right, and other famous dignitaries, and the Liberty Bell in the lower center. Opening day, September 18th. Military bands played, followed by speeches from political, business, and other leaders, including Booker T. Washington. In spite of this lavish promotion, fewer than 800,000 people showed up to this exposition that lasted a month. It faced constant financial problems, and it was hoped that that would attract investment. The Sousa Band played there, and it was about a month they were there. He wrote King Cotton for this exposition. And if you saw the movie about the Sousa Band, it showed that King Cotton thing. Now, the Pan American Exposition in 1901. Now we're going to a different one. This is Buffalo, New York. May 1st to November 2, 1901. Latest technologies, Midway provided rides and other entertainment. Athletic events took a special place, and there were African, Eskimo, and Mexican villages among the attractions. The electric tower is illuminated nightly by thousands of colored bulbs and floodlights. On September 6th, President McKinley was shot outside the Temple of Music, which is where they had the performances. He died 8 days later at the home of John Milburn on Delaware Avenue. Theodore Roosevelt was inaugurated as president at the White Wilcox House on September 14th. Now, left. That's a view of the Pan American Exposition. I could not get that bigger because I wanted you to see the program more clearly. This is one of the typical programs that Sousa played at these expositions. And in terms of Sousa's programming, these exposition and other kinds of programs where you did several a day very rarely played very many encores. They were basically as written. The encores that Sousa was famous for came mostly when his band was on tour or played like a Willow Grove Park and had time to spread out the program. Now, music included orchestra, bands, organ, choir, and ethnic music, and noted vocalists and instrumentalists. The statement included in the final report of the exposition summarizes the quality of band and orchestra music that was available at the fair. With the exception of but a few weeks, 3 bands or 2 bands and 1 orchestra were in attendance and played twice each day during the exposition. It will thus be seen that an average of 6 band or orchestra concerts were given each day and evening, or an approximate total of 1,000 concerts given during the period of the exposition. This is a time which we all long for, but it ain't gonna happen. Because anytime there's a public outdoor concert, it usually has to have electricity supplied. And bands as such are not really that prominent in those kind of things. Now, June 10, July 7, that's when Susan was there. The Invincible Eagle was written by Susan for that occasion. Now, speaking of the ECBC, if you were on the stage down at Jerry Rice College, you played this piece under the direction of Barry Furr, Pan Americana. It was written by Victor Herbert for this exposition. That's Victor Herbert and the Pittsburgh Symphony, and he played there during October 1901. This is the Temple of Music at the Pan American Exposition. This is where the concerts were held. This is a panoramic view, which is artist rendered rather than drone taken, of the 1901 Pan American Exhibition. Now, one of the things about these things that Sousa and Victor Herbert were involved in is these bands and orchestras were able to stay in one place for about a month or so. And as such, they then had an influence on the musical life of the towns in which they played and in which they stayed. There were instances where people from the band taught local people for about a month or so, once a week, and the public was greatly involved in anticipating the beginning of these fairs because, remember, in the house there was nothing but a piano. You wanted to hear music besides a piano, you had to go somewhere and find it and listen to it. And then you brought it home in one place, your mind. That was it. Much simpler time, in a way, from our viewpoint, a much more complicated time in terms of trying to keep in touch with the things that you heard in the past. Like, oh, Susan's band was here last year. What did they play? So, this is a time where bands were the foundation of entertainment in this country. And the entertainment was sitting down entertainment. There was some dancing, but most of it was concerts by the Sousa band and the Pryor band and everybody else like that. Okay? Any questions? Okay? Sir?
You had 8 million people attending the Buffalo Exposition.
800,000.
Say it again?
800,000.
That's still an awful lot.
Yeah.
How many people lived in Buffalo? Probably 500,000 or less.
Yeah.
So people had to travel.
That's right. But the problem is that they were anticipating a larger attendance than that when they planned the fair. That's the problem. That's the problem. Sir?
Yes, and the assassination, of course, ruined the attendance.
Yeah.
For the last, and
Yeah.
I must say that I've been a Buffalonian for 50 years, just moved away 2 months ago. There are only 2 buildings left from the Pan American Exposition. They should have saved more of it. That Temple of Music was fantastic.
Right.
And they tore it all down, and it's a junk area now. It's
Yeah,
just,
well,
it's very sad.
that's what they call progress, right?
Yeah, and Buffalo didn't have a symphony orchestra till 1935,
Wow.
so, yeah.
Well, I guess they've been buffaloed.
Well, they're doing better now, but that exposition did not help the culture in
No.
that area at all.
No. Okay. How many towns in this country are named after animals? I mean, is there a cow, Nevada? Is there a horse, California? Is there a chameleon, Nevada? Okay.